In our next video, notice how our brothers benefited from applying what they learned.
Well, very good friends of ours decided they wanted to go their own way and leave Jehovah, and in that interim they became bad association for us. We had many good times together. We drove to isolated territory together. We even visited a brother who was sick in hospital to encourage him. I feel heartbroken that they're no longer serving Jehovah.
It's really hard to lose a friend spiritually, very hard.
I was about to enter into full-time service, but I still needed reassurance. I was raised by my mother as a witness. Even though I had very little contact with my father, he still tried to oppose my spiritual progress. I kept fighting for the truth, and I got baptized when I was 11. I guess I felt like I was doing okay. And after high school, I went to university.
I had to make some changes in my choice of entertainment. We really never stop learning. I do enjoy relaxing and watching television, but I must admit that it is more and more difficult to find something decent to watch these days. Well, I'm not saying that I watch bad programs. I would never do that. But still, I wonder if what I watch is spiritually healthy for me.
Every now and then, we are gifted with material in these JW Broadcasting episodes that just perfectly demonstrate how cult-like this organisation is. Material that is completely tone deaf as to how it will be interpreted by outsiders who haven't been conditioned over years or decades to think that this is normal. So in a way, I'm grateful. Well, not in a way, I'm definitely grateful that they've produced this. I mean, good grief. Brent and Lauren in South Africa, nothing against you guys if you happen to watch this at any point, but we're supposed to feel sorry for you because you're all butthurt because some friends of yours stopped believing as you do. I mean, come on. Heartbroken? Really?
I feel heartbroken that they're no longer serving Jehovah.
It's really hard to lose a friend spiritually, very hard.
You're heartbroken because you have some friends who stopped sharing your religious beliefs, and that for you is a deal breaker. That is a reason to shut them out of your life and pretend they don't exist, so that all of the happy memories that you apparently forged with them when you were friends now count for nothing because, shock horror, they've stopped being in your religion. That's how delicate you are when it comes to protecting your beliefs. And we're going to revisit this couple and the advice they implemented to overcome this huge tragedy of some friends no longer believing as they do. We then have Umjay in Namibia, who gives us a classic example of the way Jehovah's Witnesses dissuade higher education. Oh no, Umjay decides to enhance her career prospects and improve herself in terms of her knowledge by going to college or university. How appalling. This is apparently a story where the audience is expected to be in horror that a girl has gone to college or university to educate herself. This is supposed to be a terrible, terrible thing. Again, you're only going to view it as a negative thing if you've been subjected to years or decades of indoctrination. And finally, we have Happy in Cameroon, who isn't happy about some of the things on television. Again, we're going to revisit all of these stories, but doesn't it just demonstrate how perfectly normal or innocuous or irrelevant things get blown completely out of proportion when you are in the Jehovah's Witness bubble of indoctrination?
The way of thinking I was exposed to in university was pressuring me to find security in my life through material things, like having my own place to live, economic stability. But at what cost? I remember that paragraph. It said that Satan promotes making money as the only way you could find security in this world. But one could sacrifice so much to achieve it. You could even lose your friendship with Jehovah.
That article, it was just what we needed. It described a watchman that would protect the city by sounding out an alarm on impending danger. And at sounding that alarm, he would shut the gates to the city to protect the city. And I needed to do that.
Well, we both needed to do that. And it's not even a question. Our loyalty to Jehovah comes first before we're loyal to any friends we have in this world.
The Watchtower said that storytelling does more than entertain us. In Bana, the city of Cameroon where I was born, mothers spend their evenings with their children, telling them stories. And even though I was young, the stories my mother told me continue to influence me even today. So I said to myself, oh no, wait a minute, Happy. It means that the stories that I watch on television will also affect me sooner or later. And the devil knows that too. So I decided to completely cut out a number of programs that I used to watch.
Now I'm serving in full-time service and I love it. Jehovah is really taking care of me. But I don't want to forget the beautiful principles I've learned from that article. I still have to safeguard my heart. I want to give my best to my Father, Jehovah.
Not a day goes by where we don't think about these friends of ours, and it's certainly our hope that they come back to Jehovah, that we can serve Jehovah together, shoulder to shoulder.
But we've also learned to keep our little watch guard in check. He needs to make sure he does his job and sound the alarm and shut those gates.
Thank you, Watchtower, for making this segment, for interviewing these people, for putting this spin on things, and for showing the world just how culty you are. That's all you're doing. Again, Jehovah's Witnesses, who you could say are kind of already a lost cause because they're inside the cult, they're going to think all of this is normal. Anyone with a mind of their own who's watching this, I mean, you're doing my job for me. What do I even need to say about this? All I need to do is just point and laugh. And maybe Jehovah's Witnesses watching, I mean, I say they're a lost cause, but some will almost certainly, hopefully in a moment of clarity, look at this and think, what on earth have I got myself roped into here? I mean, the less said about the lady in Cameroon, Happy, the better. She's now happy. Happy is happy because she's stopped watching certain programs. That's the whole point of her amazing story, is that there were some programs on her television that were disturbing or that were inappropriate for her in some way. She read a Watchtower article and had the epiphany that she should stop watching them. That's the story. Steven Spielberg, phone this lady now. This needs to be not just a movie, but a trilogy of movies about this fascinating lady called Happy and her existential struggle against TV programming. We also have Umjay in Namibia. What do I need to say? I find it interesting that we don't hear Umjay categorically say whether or not she stopped or whether she quit her college or university education. She just says towards the end there, now I'm serving in full-time service and I love it.
Now I'm serving in full-time service and I love it. Jehovah is really taking care of me.
Well, what does that mean, Umjay? Does that mean you quit your education to go into full-time service? Or does that mean that you finished your education, got your diploma or your qualifications, and then went into full-time service? In which case, all we're learning is that you had the best of both worlds. So that's a crucial part of the story that gets conveniently missed out. You would think that if she did quit her education, this would have been included. The fact that it wasn't included suggests to me that she did get the best of both worlds. She did complete her education, and now she's moralizing as someone who's benefited from that education. Now she's moralizing about the virtues of going without it, about how terrible it is. What does she say? The way of thinking I was exposed to in university.
The way of thinking I was exposed to in university was pressuring me to find security in my life through material things, like having my own place to live, economic stability. But at what cost?
Oh, the horror! Imagine having economic stability. What a terrible thing for a young person in Namibia to have. Economic stability. Evil, evil university for tricking someone into thinking that economic stability is a worthwhile goal to pursue. Again, what do I even need to do with this? But just point and laugh at how overtly culty and manipulative this is. But for me, the most fascinating part of this segment was, without a doubt, Brent and Lauren, the butthurt couple who can't get over the fact that their friends abandoned their religion or stopped sharing their theological position. This apparently was the end of the world, to the point where, towards the end of their story, they say, not a day goes by where we don't think about these friends of ours.
Not a day goes by where we don't think about these friends of ours, and it's certainly our hope that they come back to Jehovah, that we can serve Jehovah together, shoulder to shoulder.
Not a day, Brent and Lauren, where you don't at some point during your normal everyday activities, whether it's at work or at the Kingdom Hall or doing preaching, being on the toilet, having a shower, not a day goes by where you're not like, oh no, my friends no longer believe as I do. I'd almost forgotten, and now I've remembered. Oh, woe is me. I don't believe you. I think you're exaggerating. If you're not exaggerating, that is messed up. That is messed up that you won't let go of that and you can't move on from the fact that your friends no longer, or your former friends, I should say, no longer believe as you do. Seriously, move on from that. But the solution to their friends, which apparently isn't working because they're still thinking about their friends all the time. The solution is obviously the January 2019 Watchtower, It described a watchman who would protect the city by sounding out an alarm on impending danger.
It described a watchman that would protect the city by sounding out an alarm on impending danger. And at sounding that alarm, he would shut the gates to the city to protect the city. And I needed to do that.
Well, we both needed to do that.
Yes, you needed to bury your head in the sand, didn't you? When your friends were sharing their ideas with you, sharing probably, I assume, because why else would this be such a huge deal, by the way? When your friends were sharing information that debunked your beliefs, what you needed to do, apparently, was rather than have a conversation with them and find out what their arguments were, and perhaps try to save your friends, because after all, if what you have is true, none of their arguments should carry any weight. You should be able to demonstrate logically and coherently why their arguments don't hold up to scrutiny and why it is that you have the truth. No, interestingly, you have to let your inner watchman intervene and stop you and sound the alarm. Or is it like the red alert on Star Trek? Yeah, sound the alarm because, oh no, someone doesn't believe as you do, so you need to bury your head in the sand or do the equivalent of saying, la la la, I can't hear you. That's the way you deal with dear friends who have information to share or who have information that debunks your beliefs. This is the level of intellectual honesty and maturity that the Jehovah's Witness organization is encouraging in its members.